Practice problem 6.1 and level 6 in general are all about revolves. As usual, we'll have to decide if revolves are the best way to go, or any feature is the best way to go, and make choices on the geometry. In this case, definitely a revolve. If we look at this and think um, anything that I think I'm going to put on a lathe to make, in this case, would be more CNC lathe to generate all of these profiles. This would be a good application for Revolve. So Revolve is going to have a center line. The problem with this center line is that the Revolve itself wants a closed contour. So it will see that geometry as an open and want to convert it, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But if we start off with an object line, we just have to, when we implement the feature, make sure that we select that as the axis of revolution. And based on this geometry, we really would only have this bottom edge and the vertical. Also, it's showing us that there looks like a tangency and some different geometries, so millimeters, grams, and seconds. Part origin is located at the top. Line centers, center lines, arcs, revolves, and can be built using a single feature. So process will be to just do this outline, all right, around the perimeter. We don't need any of the interior geometry. What I always visualize is that if I cut this in half and then quartered it, cut it in half again, I would be looking into the geometry that represents just 1/4 of this part. So we'll look at that as a section view just to reinforce it. All right, it says this can do in 5 minutes, so we will see. So new, we are in metric, so part millimeter, front plane, and we'll open the sketch. And let's go into a center point arc. And we'll kind of generate that first shape that goes that way. And then I would like to go ahead and establish the height. And even though it shows a center line, I am going to go ahead with the object line because it's going to give me more of the geometry that I need. All right, so let's add a couple of dimensions just to get the scale going. 148, yeah, that's a little bit tall. So let's go 38. That will scale the sketch for me. We have a radius of 7.5 and a radius of 1.5. Okay, so those look good. I'm going to pull that back a little bit and go into the line. We're going to utilize that continuous tangent arc. All right, so maybe not that way. So escape, control Z, because I moved back to the start point. So let's go back to this start point. Okay, my first line. And then there's going to be a little bit of a line. And now we're going to have to start watching for those inferences that maybe we want, maybe we don't want. So that one pulled up showed a vertical, but I don't see it. All right, so don't really know where the center point of that arc is, just that it's a radius of 15 and the tangencies. So a 3-point arc will allow me to get that geometry started and kind of figure it out as I need it. All right, so that sort of looks like what we want, but when I'm looking at the sketch, that doesn't really line up. We had the tangency there. We're given the diameters, so hopefully all of that geometry, when we put in the rest of the dimensions, gets us to a fully defined sketch. So coming tangent off of that, we've closed off the region. And we'll go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and make that to, I'm assuming it's going to go to the quadrant, but maybe not. Let's go vertical. And if I can add the tangency and it doesn't bark at me, then well, it's coincident anyway. So horizontal, well, I don't know what was horizontal there, but let's go tangent vertical, and we get our geometry started. So since this isn't a center line, I'm going to have to divide it. So this leans back to anything that has symmetry, mirrors. I really want to just put in that center line, and since I didn't do it first, I'm going to go ahead and do it now because I want to utilize those diametral dimensions. All right, so vertical infinite length. The reason I'm doing infinite length is with that object line on top of it, it would convert. At the very end, it really shouldn't be an issue, but from practice, I really just want it to go a little bit smoother, go as expected. Oh, that pulled it in quite a bit. And we lost the region. So that one goes to 13, going from the center point. We had 12.5, and that's probably what it didn't like is that line. There it is. That line, let's go ahead and put in the 1.5. Since that line disappeared, inverted, did something, it lost the region. So we're just going to monitor those so we can see what it, help us diagnose and see what it does. All right, so that one goes to a radius of 15 and a radius of 6. All right, so we didn't go fully defined just yet. We have the 38. Oh, we need more points. So again, from the center line, the diametral and the radial between the center line and the object, in this case the point, is going to give a radial, and on the opposite side of the center line is going to be diametral. So that one gives me 13. And going here, and usually it jumps right back into the mix. All right, so usually it goes, when you select that next object, goes right back into diametral. So I'm not sure why it's not doing that, but we have our shape, it's fully defined, and we're ready to revolve. Because there's only one center line, it will naturally go to that as an axis of revolution, or not. All right, so maybe because that's closed off, but one of the things to watch out for, rules for the revolve, is cannot be self-intersecting. So if I was to pick this line as the axis of revolution, the geometry would overlap itself. It would freak out. The center line then, because it's closed off, if I delete that, this is an equally valid object to act as a axis of revolution, and if I hadn't taken the time to draw that line, it would ask me if I wanted to close it off. If you close it off, be careful, because if it goes from like this point to that point, you're back into the self-intersecting geometry that you don't want. All right, so let's see how I did. We have a volume of 5996. We need to save this. So I'm in my assignment 7, new folder, and we'll go level 6 so I can keep track. And we're going to go P6-1, save it, and then evaluate and mass properties. So 5996.2. All right, we'll take that. So as revolve, as we get into these, and we start kind of feeling out this geometry, going through the process, there are tricks and traps just like there are in the Boss Extrude, the patterns, everything else we've done up to this point, except now um, thinking of the manufacturing of this, I always just look at this as this is going to be a turn. This is going to be on a lathe to build the part.